Christians would say, no, you can't lock women up and forcibly breed and experiment on them. You're not allowed to do that, Craig. Now, Craig, I just gave you a demonstration of how Christianity would debunk this. Now, Craig, can you use the Humanist Manifesto to do it? Great.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope your day has been treating you well wherever you are tuning in from. Today we are continuing our breakdown of the showdown from DebateCon 5 between Andrew Wilson of The Crucible and Craig McNeil from Fight the Flat Earth. In this part, Andrew sets a trap that Craig walks straight into, demanding he refute a prescription using only the Humanist Manifesto itself. What happens next is one of the most uncomfortable moments of the entire debate because Craig discovers in real time that his own framework cannot do what he thought it could. Stick around to the end because the way this exchange unfolds completely reframes how the rest of the debate plays out, and there is a moment where Craig accidentally makes Andrew's case for him. Also, drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from right now. I genuinely love seeing the spread of the community across different countries and cities. All right, let us jump straight into it.
We can get through
that'd be wonderful, yeah, because what I would like to hear is reasons why Christianity is better, not reasons why you dislike secular humanism. This isn't about feelings, this is about reasons.
Let's do this, perhaps, so that we're not talking past each other. Are you willing to steel man my argument here? Can you steel man it?
Well, your argument would be based on your particular version of Christianity, which is, which again?
Can you steel man my argument, Craig?
Which argument?
The one I just made, Craig.
Your argument is you don't like secular humanism. These are the things I don't like about secular humanism, so I'm going to say secular humanism can do these things, and that means that secular humanism is bad. That's what you've said, Andrew. You have given me a list of things that you think you can prescribe based on the Humanist Manifesto, right? That's what you've done, correct?
Uh-huh.
Right? So therefore, you are saying, well, these are the prescriptions that I think I can give based on secular humanism.
Why do I think Christianity is better? What's my argument? Christianity.
You haven't said yet. You've said what you've said, Andrew, is that Christianity can debunk these things, but you haven't explained how it can debunk them.
Okay, let's
give me specifics related to Christianity.
Let's do it.
Debunk the things about secular humanism you don't like. Because so far you've given me no reasons why Christianity is better.
Craig, I'll do it. The prescription for one. Do you agree that the first tenet for secular humanism is knowledge of the world is derived by observation, experimentation, and rational analysis?
That's what I said, and if we go back to the slide, which you didn't present any.
Why do I need to present a slide?
Well, it's because we've got a big thing up there to present slides, and I thought it'd be nice to.
I have a slideshow. So anyway.
Yeah, because one of us prepares for the arguments, the other one,
I didn't prepare for the arguments because I didn't have a slideshow?
Yeah, Andrew, you've done a million debates like this. This is my second. I thought I'd do some research and prepare and, give something for the audience to look at. But,
can we get back to this?
So, yeah,
do you agree, yes or no? Tenet 1, knowledge.
This right here is where the entire debate starts cracking open. Andrew Wilson sets up one of the cleanest traps you will see in a live debate, and Craig McNeil walks straight into it without realizing what is happening. Andrew said this: "Are you willing to steel man my argument here?" That single question is doing massive work. Because in any real debate, if you cannot accurately describe your opponent's position back to them, you have already lost. And Craig, instead of laying out Andrew's argument with precision, just keeps saying Andrew is attacking secular humanism without giving reasons for Christianity. Craig said this: "Andrew, you have given me a list of things that you think you can prescribe based on a Humanist Manifesto. And here is what people don't realize. That was actually Andrew's whole point." The framework Craig is defending is so vague, so mushy, so wide open that anyone can read it and pull whatever prescription they want out of it. That is not strength. That is the exact opposite of strength. You have to understand the difference between a description and a prescription. A description tells you what is. A prescription tells you what you should do. The Humanist Manifesto says, humans are part of nature, ethics come from human needs, knowledge comes from observation. Cool. But what does it actually require of a society? Nothing concrete. It is a vibes document. And that is why Andrew kept circling back to the same question over and over. Show me, inside this manifesto, the part that stops me from interpreting it however I want. Craig kept dodging because there is no answer. The document does not have that mechanism built in.
It cannot stop bad actors. It cannot stop bad interpretations. It cannot stop tyrants. It just sits there looking philosophical while leaving every hard moral question completely unanswered. This is the part that blows my mind. Andrew was not even being unfair. He was just exposing the architecture of the document itself.
Maybe you have problems hearing, but carry on.
Craig, you need to calm down, bro.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm waiting for your.
Calm down.
What I'm doing, Andrew, is I'm waiting for your argument, but you're yet to give one.
I just want to make sure that we're clear.
Yeah, we are clear. But
Okay,
you haven't
good.
yet
Let's
given
move
an argument
forward.
for your position.
Okay, so my prescription to that, Craig, is the birth rate is low, therefore all women must be forcibly bred, and experiments must be conducted on them to maximize fertility and thereby maximize human flourishing because science, and that is good. Now, Craig, that's what I read from Tenet 1, right? Can you use any of the tenets in the Humanist Manifesto 3 to debunk that prescription or tell me why that prescription's bad?
So still no reasons why Christianity's better. That's what I'm asking here. What you're saying is explain why this is good.
Because
but I've yet to hear why
okay, let me explain.
You said you can debunk that using Christianity.
Then I'll explain. Yes. Yeah. So under Christian ethics, forcibly locking up women and doing horrible things to them would be a violation of God's law. It would be a violation of Jesus Christ's law to man. So because of that, Christians would say, no, you can't lock women up and forcibly breed and experiment on them. You're not allowed to do that, Craig. Now, Craig, I just gave you a demonstration of how Christianity would debunk this. Now, Craig, can you use the Humanist Manifesto to do it? Great.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Well, so your prescription is a straw man of secular humanism. It's all right. I can explain why. Right? Because secular humanism you've gone that there's a low birth rate, therefore we have to do this. Secular humanism doesn't say there's a low birth rate. Read the tenet again for me.
It says knowledge in the world is derived by observation, experiment, and rational analysis.
And then what was your prescription?
My prescription, based on my interpretation of this, is that the birth rate is low, therefore all women must be forcibly bred. Experiments must be conducted on them to maximize fertility and therefore maximize human flourishing because science, and that is good.
So you're saying that secular humanism makes a low birth rate?
No, I'm saying that the interpretation here prescriptively on what I'm reading is that this prescription would not in any way counter that tenet.
Well, the fact that there's low birth rates isn't a bad thing. It's not low birth rates, it's lower birth rates.
Is locking women up and breeding them a bad thing? No,
absolutely not. We wouldn't.
That's not a bad thing? Or it is a bad thing?
When I'm in the middle of a sentence explaining something, that's when you be quiet and listen. I know you're used to talking
I know. I'm way out of line, Craig. I know.
Yeah, but if you let me finish my thoughts, it would be helpful. If I can finish what I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead.
So secular humanism is about harm, and locking people up and doing experiments on them is causing harm, and they wouldn't do that. A lower birth rate doesn't necessarily mean that things are bad. It just means that there is less people than having lots of people. Now, an extremely large birth rate has many problems. So we can look at what large birth rates cause: poverty, broken families, people being homeless, lots of things like that. So there's no reason secular humanism would, if there is a low birth rate, go and then lock people up and experiment on them, because that is not necessarily a bad thing. And having a slightly lower birth rate can actually help humans flourish. As a secular humanist, we're all about human flourishing, and having a slightly lower birth rate will actually help because it allows better standards of living, less poverty, less problems, less children being abandoned, less family and societal problems from having too many people around. So you have come up with your prescription, which is a prescription I don't agree with. So I don't have to accept your prescription.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so
if I don't have to accept your prescription, I don't even have to debunk it. That is your prescription.
Yeah.
And it's not what any secular humanism would say.
Now watch the trap close. Andrew lays out a deliberately extreme prescription based on the first tenet of the Humanist Manifesto and challenges Craig to refute it using only the manifesto itself. And then Andrew does something brilliant. He demonstrates how the Christian framework handles the exact same prescription. Andrew said this: under Christian ethics, that would be a violation of God's law. It would be a violation of Jesus Christ's law. Done. Clean. Direct. The Christian framework has a built-in moral authority that says, no, you cannot do this. Here is the reason. Here is the source. Then Andrew turns to Craig and says, Craig, can you use the Humanist Manifesto to do it? And Craig, instead of opening the document and pointing to a line, instead of citing a tenet, instead of doing the thing Andrew literally just demonstrated with the Bible, says this: your prescription is a straw man of secular humanism. Let me break down why this answer is so weak. A straw man is when you misrepresent someone's actual position. But Andrew was not misrepresenting Craig's position. Andrew was reading the manifesto word for word and applying logic to it. If the document does not have a mechanism to stop a bad interpretation, then that bad interpretation is a real possibility under the framework. Calling it a straw man does not make it disappear. It is the equivalent of plugging your ears. And here is the educational piece worth knowing. This is exactly why classical Western legal tradition required a fixed reference point. The natural law tradition, which shaped everything from English common law to the American legal system, was built on the idea that some moral truths are not up for democratic vote. They are anchored. They do not change because the mood of a generation changes. That fixed anchor is what allowed Western civilization to develop concepts like inalienable rights, due process, and the dignity of the individual. When Craig finally says that is your prescription, and it's not what any secular humanism would say, Andrew has already won the exchange. Because Craig is appealing to an unwritten consensus that does not exist anywhere in the document he is defending. He is borrowing authority he does not have.
Prescription is a logical impossibility based in secular humanism because it includes doing harm. And secular humanists would not do something that includes harm. So Andrew, whether you realize it or not, and whether your audience realizes it or not, that prescription that you have come from, your interpretation, is a straw man of secular humanism.
A prescription's a straw man?
Your prescription is, because your prescription is based on interpretation that no secular humanism would come to the conclusion of. It is a logical impossibility that secular humanists would lock people up and do experiments on them. So to think that a Humanist Manifesto could include that as a prescription means that you have no clue what secular humanism is.
Okay.
And that's fine if you
Craig,
don't know what secular
Craig,
humanism is.
I've just let you ramble for forever, right?
So you said...
Craig, calm down now.
Okay, carry on with your point. Sorry, I've had the red.
Here we go.
I apologize.
Knowledge of the world is derived by observation, experimentation, rational analysis. This is a descriptive claim, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we make prescriptive claims off of descriptive claims?
If you want. If
you want. So if I were a humanist and I read that, whose interpretation would it be up to as to how it was applied or what the prescription was? Stop. Hang on.
Oh, you asked me a question.
Craig.
Right.
Oh, was I done? Calm down.
You asked the question.
What I'm asking you specifically is, if it is the case that the person reading it is going to be the person who makes the prescription, okay? Then if I make a prescription here and it's not debunked by any of the rest of the Humanist Manifesto and you're going to some external source, in your case, well, you see, there's a logical impossibility because secular humanists wouldn't do that. Yes. It doesn't tell us shit, Craig. I'm giving you a prescription based on your first tenet. Hang on, stop. Based on your very first tenet. I need you to use the actual manifesto itself to tell me how it conflicts with that prescription. What you're doing is you're saying, I don't like that prescription. That's great. Nobody gives a shit what you like. Show me in the Humanist Manifesto where it is that it actually debunks this prescription or says this prescription's wrong or says this prescription isn't humanist. What I'm claiming is that that is humanism.
This is where Craig pulls out the phrase that completely backfires on him. Craig said this: it is a logical impossibility that secular humanism would lock people up and experiment on them. Hold on. Logical impossibility. Think about what those words actually mean. A logical impossibility is something that cannot exist by definition, like a square circle. But what Craig is describing is just something he personally finds morally repugnant. That is not a logical impossibility. That is a preference. And preferences are exactly what Andrew has been arguing against this entire time. Because preferences shift. Preferences change with the culture. Preferences are not anchored to anything outside the people holding them. Andrew immediately pushes back. Andrew said this: "I'm giving you a prescription based on your first tenet." And then later, Andrew said this: "What you're doing is you're saying, I don't like that prescription. Show me the Humanist Manifesto where it actually debunks this prescription." And Craig has nothing. He keeps gesturing toward the spirit of secular humanism, the collective experience of humanity, the general vibe of human flourishing. But he cannot point to a single line in the actual document that closes the loophole Andrew opened. Here is the educational point worth sitting with. Throughout history, every society that abandoned a fixed moral anchor and relied purely on collective consensus eventually drifted into serious moral failures. The collective consensus of ancient Rome accepted infant exposure. The collective consensus of various empires accepted slavery for thousands of years. Collective consensus alone is not a safeguard. It is a mirror reflecting whatever the powerful currently want. That is documented history, not opinion. What Andrew exposed in this exchange is that secular humanism, as written, does not have the structural integrity to push back against the powerful when they decide harm is now acceptable. Christianity has been used badly at times in history, no question, but it always had a fixed text people could appeal back to, a document outside the rulers. That is the difference. And Craig, no matter how many times he restated his position, could not produce that same anchor from his own framework. The whole exchange is a masterclass in why frameworks need foundations. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.